Hello and welcome to the session. In this session we are going to explore about the linear equation, gradient, standard form of the linear equation, how we can identify x and y intercept, and how we can convert the slope intercept into the slope intercept form from the standard form. So when we say about the linear equation, here if you see there is a equation which I written here, ax plus by is equals to c, where a, b, c are the integers and x and y are the variables. Okay, so ax plus by is equals to c. There are two variables, so we can say this one is linear equation in two variable. Why linear equation? Because the degree on each of the variable is 1. That's why we call it a linear equation. If the degree is more than 1, like 2 or 3, then we can say like quadratic equation, like for the 2. So for linear equation, since it is a linear equation, if you try to plot the graph, it will be always a straight line. So we have two axes, x and y axis. So based on the values we can plot the graph. Now there are the different way to express the linear equation. This is, we call it a standard form. Okay, so standard form, if you see here, ax plus by is equals to c, this is, we call it a standard form. Now if x is equals to 0, if I put, like suppose x is equals to 0, in that scenario a into 0 plus b into y is equals to c. This will be 0, we'll get by is equals to c and y is equals to c upon b. Okay, so this is the value of y when x is 0. Whenever the x is 0 and we get the value of y, this is, we call it a y-intercept. Okay, so on x-axis and y-axis, if I try to draw the lines like this, this is the horizontal line which we call it a x-axis, and this is the perpendicular line on the x-axis which we call it a y-axis. Both lines are perpendicular to each other. Now if a point, any point on the y-axis, if I try to, like this point or this point, any point, if I say, that means the value of x will be 0. Similarly, if the horizontal line is x-axis, if you see here, and if I try to plot any point over here, in this scenario we can say the value of y is 0. Okay, so if I say y is equals to c upon b, this is the value of y when x is 0, that means this is our y-intercept. If I have to identify the x-intercept, then in that scenario we have to put the value of y is equals to 0 in the given equation. So our equation is like, suppose ax plus by is equals to c. If I put here the value of y is equals to 0, then what we will get it here, ax plus c is equals to, ax plus 0 into y is equals to c. Ax is equals to c and x is equals to, will get c upon a. So this is how we can get the x-intercept. So x-intercept, the value of x when the y is equals to 0, or the place where the graph crosses the x-axis, we call it the x-intercept. Similarly, the y-intercept, what we can say, when the value of x is 0, or the place where the graph crosses y-axis. So if I, like suppose I'm just drawing a line here like this. Okay, so this is the point where, let me change the color, this is the point where line is crossing the y-axis, right? So this is nothing but our y-intercept, and this is the point where line is crossing the x-axis, so we can say it is a x-intercept. So this is the definition of x and y-intercept, that like how we can identify. Okay, now if the same thing is like given, and example is like, I'm just giving one example, is like 2x plus 3y is equals to 12, and we have to identify where the line, what is the x-intercept and what is the y-intercept in this scenario. So if I have to identify x-intercept, in that scenario we have to put the value of y is equals to 0. That means 2x 3 into 0, if I'm going to put y is equals to 0, and 2x is equals to here 12 and x is equals to 6. So this is my coordinate. I can say here 6 comma 0, where x is 6 and y is 0. Consider like this is like I'm just roughly drawing this. So consider this is our 6 comma 0. Now similarly, if I have to identify y-intercept, in that scenario we have to substitute the value of x is equals to 0. So 2 into 0 plus 3 into y is equals to 12. 2 into 0 is 0, so in this scenario 3y is equals to 12 and y is equals to 12 upon 3, which is going to be 4. So in this scenario our coordinate will be x comes first, so x is 0 in this scenario, comma 4. So consider this is our 0 comma 4. So our line, how it looks like this. So this will be our line, which is 2x plus 3y is equals to 12. Okay, now one terms, like whenever we draw the line, then it makes an angle with respect to the x-axis. So if you see, this is making an angle like this. So consider, suppose if there is a line, I'm just taking one example over here. This is x and y axis, and my line is going to be like this. So if you see, this is making an angle with respect to the positive x-axis, right? If you see, this is the positive side of x-axis, this is negative in anti-clockwise direction. So this is like whatever the angle it is making, the inclination, this inclination, the gradient is nothing. Like in this we are going to discuss about the gradient. So gradient in this scenario is nothing but the inclination of line. Sometimes we call it a gradient, also referred as a slope of the line, which is denoted by m. So if the two coordinates are given, like suppose if there is a point A and consider that there is another point B, and if we have a coordinate is like x1 comma y1, another coordinate is like x2 comma y2, and we have to identify the gradient. In that scenario we can write either gradient, or we can denote, gradient can be denoted by m as well. So gradient is equals to always y2 minus y1, okay, upon x2 minus x1. So this is our gradient of for the 2-point form. If there are 2 points defined, then we can identify the gradient by using this formula y2 minus y1 upon x2 minus x1. Okay, so gradient is this. Now suppose if there is any line is given like 2x plus 3y is equals to 12. I'm just taking the previous example which already we identified the x and y intercept. Now suppose we have to identify the gradient. Okay, so if there is a standard form, right, there is a way to identify, but if there is a standard form we can do directly as well. So this line, if you see ax, we know ax plus by is equals to c. So in this scenario, if we have to identify the gradient, or we can say slope, okay, so slope or the gradient in this scenario we can write minus coefficient of x, which is in this case is a, upon coefficient of y, which is b. So this is like how we identify the slope or the gradient of a line. And if we have to find out the y-intercept in this case, so y-intercept is nothing but the, first of all we have to write the constant which is on the another side. Constant is c upon coefficient of y, which is b. So this is like we can, there is another way which we call it a slope intercept form. We can convert this line into the slope intercept form and we can identify. But if you know this one, you can directly solve the question using the standard form as well. So if line is already, like if you see the linear equation is already in terms of standard form and we have to identify slope, we can write a slope is equals to, in this case, minus upon, what is a, coefficient of x. What is coefficient of x in this, say 2, upon coefficient of, upon coefficient of y, that means 3. So slope is minus 2 upon 3. Okay, and if I wanted to find, if I want to find y-intercept, so in this scenario y-intercept is nothing but constant upon b, which is the coefficient of y, that means 3. So if I, this is 4, Now let's see what value we got it for the y-intercept 4, right, in the previous example as well. So using this, like, we can identify the standard form. If there is a standard form, we can identify the gradient and y-intercept directly. Slope or the gradient is equals to minus coefficient of x upon coefficient of y, and y-intercept is equals to constant upon the coefficient of y. Okay, now if I wanted to convert this into the slope intercept form, which is another form of a line, we can write slope intercept form. So as per name, like, there must be some slope value and intercept value. That means the y-intercept will be there. So we can write like y is equals to mx plus c, where m is nothing but slope or the gradient and c is nothing but y-intercept. So we can convert any line into this form as well in order to identify the slope or the y-intercept. So just take example of like which we already taken, like 2x plus 3y is equals to 12, and we have to identify the slope and y-intercept, and we need to check whether we are getting the same answer or not. So first thing is, like, if you see the y is one side and another, we have to shift all other variables and the constant on the other side. So we are going to keep this 3y over here, and we will this 2x we will transfer on the other side. So this is what it is, plus 2x. Whenever we will transfer, the sign will change and we will write 3y is equals to minus 2x plus 12. We can write 12 minus 2x, anything, but we have to, since we are going to use this form, so that's why I written like minus 2x, because it was 2x. When we shift on the other side, it became minus 2x plus 12. Now coefficient of y in this form is 1, and here it is what, 3. So what we have to do, we have to divide 3 on the both side, or we can make this 3, whatever the 3 is there, we have to transfer on this side. So we can write here y is equals to minus 2 upon 3, it is going to divide here, plus 12 upon 3. So 12 upon 3 is 4. So now if we compare mx, coefficient of x is m here, so our slope or the gradient in this case is minus 2 upon 3, and c, which is the y-intercept, our answer is what, 4. So this is like how we can find the slope and the intercept, y-intercept, using the slope intercept form. So till now whatever we covered, like, we are going to solve couple of questions based on this. In case anything you'll have any questions which is difficult, kindly share in the comment section. I will try to help you. So let's take one example from the question paper, and here, like, we can see question is like, find the gradient and the y-intercept of the line with the equation which is given here, 3x plus 4y is equals to 24. So since this is a standard form, there is, like, we know if there is a standard form and we have to identify the gradient, I'm writing gradient is like denoted by m. What is formula? So in this case we will write minus coefficient of x. What is coefficient of x? Because if there is, like, let me write here, ax plus by is equals to c. If I have to find out this m, which is gradient in this case, minus coefficient of x is a, coefficient of y is b, so minus a upon b. And if I have to find out y-intercept, then I can write here directly y-intercept is equals to constant, which is c, upon coefficient of y, which is b in this case. So we are going to use this. So here, like, m is gradient minus a is 3, so 3 upon 4 is our gradient. Now y-intercept in this case, we have to use this formula, c upon b. So c upon b, c is how much, 24, so y-intercept is equals to 24 upon 3, sorry, 24 upon 4, my bad. So this is going to be 6. So from here what we can write here, minus 3 upon 4 will be our gradient, and y-intercept will be 6. Okay, so this is way. If you want to directly identify the y-intercept, what we can do, we have to just put the value of x is equals to 0, 3 into 0 will be 0, 4y is equals to 24, y is equals to 24 upon 4, which is 6. or you can convert into the slope intercept form and then you can identify. Either way, like whenever you are trying with any method, you are going to get full marks. Now we will come to the second point, second question. If you see, there is a line and there is a point given. Okay, now remember we already discussed, if there are the 2 points x and y, how we can find the slope. So question is here, like there are the two things. First thing is like given how we can find the equation, right? We're using the point. So in order to find out the equation, we need point, slope. So slope, how we can write here? Okay, let's write a slope. Slope is equals to y2 minus y1 upon x2 minus x1. This is our slope, right? So consider this is our x1 comma y1, or you can take x2 y2, anything is fine. And here we can take x2 comma y2, okay, or you can take x1 y1, anything is fine, any order will work here. So slope is equals to, in this case, what we can write here, y2 minus 3, sorry my bad, y2 is 3, then y1 is minus 5, so I'm going to write here minus 5, and x2 is 4, so 4 minus 8. So 3 minus 5 is minus 2 upon minus 4. Minus and minus got cancelled. 2 into 4. 2 divided by 4 is equals to half. So slope, we are going to get it. Slope is equals to 1 by 2. This is our slope. Okay. Now, so we know what is slope intercept from y is equals to mx plus c. Okay. So y is equals to mx plus c. We have to write the, okay, I'm going to use this one. Okay, so we got slope, y is equals to, we know mx plus c. Okay, I'm going to write y m, slope is half, so half x plus c. Okay, now we have, like if you see, there are 2 points given here, x1 and y1, 8 comma 5. I'm going to write here 8 comma 5, which is our x1 comma y1, and another point is, which is x2 comma y2, which is 4 comma 3. I'm going to write 4 x2 comma y. Okay, so we have, like we already calculated the slope. Now what we have to do, since this is a line which is passing through both the points, that means it will satisfy the given line. Okay, so this point, either of this point, we can put it here and we can identify the value of c. So if you want, just put it this one. Okay, x is equals to, put 4, y is equals to 3. Okay, put the value, x is, y is how much, 3, half into 4 plus c, this and this got cancelled, 3 is equals to 2 plus c, c is equals to 1, 3 minus 2, which is 1. So now we got the point, y is equals to half x plus 1. Or now if you want, you can just take the LCM, there is nothing but 1, so we will try to multiply 2 and 2. So what will be our answer? X upon 2 plus 1 by 2, or we can write y is equals to x plus 1 upon 2. Let's see what is given here, 2y minus x, like we have to write into the standard form. Okay, so how we can write into the standard form? So this will go like 2y is equals to x plus 1. Now x will come over here, right? So what we can write it, 2y minus x is equals to 1. This is our equation. Just compare with this one, 2y minus x. Oh, I think there is something which I missed, it need to check, right? So let's check if I missed anything here. So yes, I missed it here, 2 into 2, 2 into 1 is 2. Okay, so that part was missing. I'm just going to correct it and will write here. Okay, my bad. So this is like 2y minus x is equals to 2. This is like how we can use the point to identify or to find the equation of a line. Okay, now if you see here, the final question of this one is like, find the equation of a line parallel to line L that passes through 0 comma 7. Give your answer, y is equals to mx plus c. Okay, so if two lines which are parallel to each other, like if suppose these two lines are parallel, then their gradient will be equal. Okay, that means the slope of those two lines will be equal if two lines are parallel. So if I consider like these two lines are parallel, if the gradient of first line is m1 and gradient of another line is m2. If these two are parallel, then m1 is equals to m2. Okay, and if two lines are perpendicular like this one and the gradient of the respective line is m1 and m2, in this scenario the product of the gradient is equals to -1. So these are the two things which we can consider, but in this scenario for the question it is only for parallel. So what I am going to write here, our slope is going to be half, which is from the previous question we identified, right? So slope is going to be same, so I will write here y is equals to half x plus c, right? M was half, so I written like 1 upon 2x. Now it is passing through what 0, 7. So x is 0. In this we'll put it y is equals to x is 0 plus c. Oh sorry, y, the value of y is 7. So x into 0, this is multiplication 0. So 7 is equals to 0 plus c, or c is equals to 7. So we got the value of c. Now what we have to do, we have to substitute it back. So we'll write here half x plus 7. So this is our answer. And simply like we can say like x is 0, that means that this is the y-intercept. We can directly also write here y-intercept is 7, gradient is half, y is equals to half x plus 7. So this is the way like we can solve the question. This is how, what about the, this is about the linear equation. If the two lines are parallel, if two lines are perpendicular, like suppose if one line, the slope of one line is half, what will be the slope of another line? So simple thing, what we have to do, 1 upon 2 into m2 is equals to -1, m2 is equals to -2, or we have to take the minus of the reciprocal of the second gradient. Like suppose if the gradient of one line is half, what is the reciprocal of half? 2, and we have to multiply with minus. So any, like you can do this or this way, you will get the same answer. Okay, so hope it will help you. For the next session we will cover more topics and other difficult topic. If there is any difficult topic which you know, and if you wanted me to take next session on that topic, please share with me. Thank you so much.